G'day everybody and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing a Pokemon TCGO tournament series. So this is an event run through Facebook. So I'll leave a link in the description for all the information there. We're going up against a player by the name of, and I hope I don't get this wrong, Dominic Bagardi. I hope I pronounced that right. And Pokemon trading card game not responding for me at the moment. So this is a best of 3 series. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing quite a bit of these. I get to call the flip here, which is very good. So in between rounds, we will choose who's going first and who's going second. It looked like my opponent's going to be playing a Darkrai Giratina deck by some standard. I'm playing Volcanion. Yeah, it looks like I did see the Dark and Dragon type, so I'm assuming Darkrai Giratina. And I'm going to start with a Volcanion EX here, which isn't the best start, but I do have a Float Stone. I've got a Shaman there, which I don't particularly want to play while my hand is so big. So we're just going to start with this Volcanion. My opponent is going first. And they're going to start with Darkrai. Alright, so the reason I chose Volcanion for this tournament was because I felt like throughout my testing, it was the most consistent deck that I had tested with. There was a choice between this and Rainbow Road, but I preferred this one. Oh, my opponent's going to grab a Fright Knight Yveltal, which is a very good play. If they can get this thing into the active position, they can shut off my use of the Float Stone, which is going to be very good for my opponent if they're able to do that. And it looks like they're getting a couple energies down on here. And I'm assuming they've got a Supporter or a Shaman here. And there is the Sycamore. They could have played the Fury Belt down. I think they're looking for a Float Stone for this thing, so I lose access to my Float Stone on the Volcanion, which is a very good play. They don't hit it here, so this is really my only chance to get out of the active spot here. I'm going to Steam up once, just to kind of get rid of the cards in my hand. I might Shaman for 2 here. Actually, I think I might just go for the Sycamore and hope that doesn't come back to bite me too much. Oh, we are not drawing anything good here. We're going to get another Volcanion EX down. We're going to Trainer's Mail. Grabbing the Ultra Ball. I'm going to play down the Skyfield. I'll Ultra Ball away 2 energies. I want to keep that Lysander in hand. The tough choice now is, do I just go for the Volcanion, or do I go for a Hooper to set up more? The Hooper looks good to me just because I've got nothing in hand. The only unfortunate thing about this play is if I do miss, then this thing's just going to come into the active spot and just kind of walk all over me. So we're going to grab the Hooper. We're going to get ourselves 2 Volcanions. Yeah, we're just going to grab ourselves 2 Volcanion EX, I think. And hopefully that doesn't hurt us too much. Going to get these guys down onto the bench. I'm going to keep this card in hand just because I do want to be able to attach to the baby Volcanion if I can. We're going to Shaman set up to draw 6. And we're hoping to see a Volcanion and we whiff. Okay. Well, that hurts. Going to attach there. Fury Belt there. And pass turn. Alright, so maybe I should have just gone for the Volcanion there. There's 4 energy in the discard pile already, which is not good to see. We do have these energy retrievals. My opponent's going to go for a Ninja Boy here. Probably going to swap this out for something. Yeah, for the Mew, that's a very good play by my opponent. My opponent just trying to lock out tool cards. I should have retreated into this guy. It is fine. I do have a Lysander in hand, so if I do want to get out of this position, I can. DC going down onto that Mew, and we're going to see a Pitch Black Spear. And my opponent going to target the Shaman. Alright, so we draw into another VS Seeker. I think I'm just going to attach to the active VS Seeker for an N. And we're going to play this N. Now, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about it. I am going to lose this Shaman here. So maybe I did play this a little wrong to start off with. We do find ourselves a Volcanion, though. So we're starting to get somewhere with this. Can chuck a Fury Belt down onto it. And we're just going to end our turn there. I would actually love to draw a Lysander next turn, so I could bring up this Mew and not have to deal with this Fright Knight ability. Otherwise, my opponent's just going to really be able to slow us down so much with this Fright Knight Yveltal. So we definitely need to find a way to get out of this Fright Knight. My opponent's going to train his mail for a Sycamore. And we're going to play another Trainer's Mail here. And they're going to fail that one. So they do have the Sycamore in hand. So maybe this isn't Dark Red Giratina. Maybe I didn't see Giratina at all. So we're going to see a Mew and an Yveltal. This looks more like Yveltal Mew. And a Sycamore coming down from my opponent. And another Pitch Black Spear from my opponent. And they're going to knock out our Shaman EX here. Which does suck. We're going down 2 prizes already, and my opponent's board is pretty set up. So we join to another VS Seeker. Not a card I particularly wanted to see. I think we're just going to Energy Retrieval here. And grab ourselves 2 fires. We'll attach 1 here. I'll play a Floatstone down. Just because, and then we're just going to end my opponent. So they are going down to 4 here, and we're not drawing into really much of anything at this point. This Volcanion's going to go down. We're going to go down to 2 prizes versus 6, and my opponent's board is fully set up. So this is going to be quite tough to come back from here. It's definitely not impossible, but my opponent's board is quite well set up. They've got a Mew sitting there with so much damage on it. I don't play Hexmaniac. And now they're going to start to power up the Yveltal EX as well. And if my opponent's able to Lysander into the other Volcanion, they can pretty much win from that point. Just because we would need to draw into a Lysander to get out of this Fright Knight Yveltal. And my hand is not looking very good at the moment. My opponent's going to pass. They're not going to attack. And look at that. We drew into the Lysander. So we can actually take 2 prizes this turn. We're going to Lysander up this guy. Or is it better to just go into the Volcanion and knock out a Mew? Yeah, okay. We're going to knock out the Mew. Going to Lysander up the Mew. Now we can retreat into Volcanion. We want to steam up once, just so we are hitting for the knockout. And I think we will just attach this to a different Volcanion, so we can have multiple set up. And then we're just going to Power Heater here. We may as well put the energy here and here. So we're going to take 1 prize card here. And we find ourselves a VS Seeker, which is really good at this point. We are going to need to find ourselves a Sycamore, because I'm assuming this guy's going to come up again. Probably knock out this Volcanion, go down to 2 prizes. So it's going to be tough for us from here. But at least we did top deck that Lysander and get out of the position that we were in. We're going to see a Lysander from my opponent, and it looks like they're just going to try and stall us out once again. We do have the VS Seeker, though, for a Lysander once again. Definitely not the play I want to make, though. We are going to need to draw into a Fire Energy as well. Floatstone onto that Yveltal EX. And Pitch Black Spear here. Do they take the knockout? They are going to take 2 more prizes here. So I think possibly even an N at this point wouldn't be too bad. Just don't want to really be locked onto this Pitch Black Spear. We are going to need to draw the Fire, which we don't draw into. We're going to play down this Volcanion and drop a Fury Belt, drop a Floatstone onto this guy, and we're going to end because I can take 1 more hit with this thing. It's still probably not my best play, though. I actually think I probably should have Lysandered. I don't know if my opponent had the means of Lysandering again. We do find ourselves a Lysander for next turn, but I still don't think that helps us too much. We're going to take the energy retrieval here. And it looks like we're just going to be passing turn. We can attach an energy, I suppose. We can start to get, and we'll just start to power up a steam artillery. I actually think we've lost this game regardless. I don't think I play energy suit, escape rope. I don't believe I do. DC coming down onto the Yveltal and a Sycamore from my opponent. Maybe I should have Lysandered last turn. That was probably the right play to do. And just put 30 on the Mew. So that was a misplay on my behalf. I think my opponent should have this game. There's no way I can knock out this Yveltal. It's just going to come up and Fright Night me. I'm going to see a Max Elixir coming down from my opponent. And miss. So I think I definitely played, especially that last turn, very wrong here. We are going to be able to Lysander, take a knockout, at the very least. But it doesn't matter here. There's no way I can get out of this thing not getting knocked out. We can retreat into this guy. Steam up. And just Volcanic Heat. And we're going to see a Shaman and a Volcanion from this. Alright, so my opponent's going to take game 1 here. They can just go into this Fright Night and Fright Night us. So we'll say GG. So that is the game 1. Unless my opponent decides to not hit 60 somewhere else. But they are going to. So I do get to choose whether I'll be going first or second. And hopefully we can get a bit better of a start than when we did that game. Alright, so we're just going to stop here and go into... So here we go for game number 2. I will be going first this game. And hopefully we can get a bit better of a start than what we did and not get locked with a Volcanion EX in the active. So we can flip the coin. So we win the coin flip. It doesn't really matter. Even if my opponent won, they would have said that I would be going first. Because we have to agree on that before we start the game. Alright, so it looks like I'm starting with, once again, a pretty average hand. I don't think this one's as bad, though. We're going to just start with a Volcanion EX here. I am going first, so at least I've got some options for myself. If this is a Fright Night Yveltal, it's going to be very annoying. And it's a Mew, so they didn't want to go into the Fright Night. We did get a Lysander, though, which is... interesting card to get here. Oh, I put a Fury Bell on the wrong thing. Oh god, I'm already starting to misplay. Alright, so let's Ultra Ball away this and this for a... I'm actually going to play this game a bit slower. We're just going to take a baby Volcanion here. And we're going to Shaman setup to draw 6. And I really need to hit an energy off of these. So I'm going to Ultra Ball away Volcanion and Lodestone. I'm not going to take a Hooper here because I don't have the bench space for it. We're going to take another Volcanion EX. So I did have to get rid of the Floatstone because I want to keep this VS Seeker so I can Sycamore next turn. We're going to Lysander up the Fright Night Yveltal just so they can't Max Elixir DC and retreat. And now we're going to Shaman set up 4-5 here, and I really need to see an energy card here, which we do get. So we can attach to this thing, and then I'm happy to just pass turn. So this is going to be my plays. Hopefully I can hit a Volcanic Heat before my opponent can hit a Fright Night. Even if they do hit, they should be able to hit 1 before I'm able to start taking knockouts. Just because they only need DC Dark. And they are going to go for an Escape Rope, which is going to allow me to go into the Volcanion here. Unless they Lysander up this guy, then I could just... my opponent's going to Annis as well. So my opponent's hand probably wasn't too good. They didn't even have an energy card there. So we're going to find ourselves a Fire Energy, as well as an Energy Retrieval. Seeing another Fright Night Yveltal come down. Now, I have used all of my Shamans pretty early into the game, so I'm not going to be able to Ultra Ball for a Shaman, so at the moment my hand is not the best. And there's no energy in the discard pile either, so this Power Heater is going to be pretty average. Though if the Mew does stay active, we are going to be able to take the first prize of the game. And my opponent's going to pass here. We're going to see a Trainer's Mail. Hopefully we can get something good off of this. We're going to find ourselves a VS Seeker. I guess I'll take that. Now I could go for the Lysander here. And that's... I really don't know whether I should just go for the Lysander play. Put 50 on this thing. Then a DC will come down. Or just knock out this Mew this turn and go for a Sycamore. And put myself in a better position. I think I'm going to do that. Because 50 isn't really doing much. I should be able to get this thing powered up within a turn. So we're going to steam up once so we can hit for the knockout. Energy Retrieval, get back our fire. Put this down. We're going to play this. I'm not going to Ultra Ball or anything. We're just going to VS Seeker for the Sycamore. And we're going to Sycamore. So we are going to drop an Energy Switch here, which is an Energy Retrieval, which is not very good for us. But I'm going to find a lot more energy here, which is very nice. We can steam up once. And now we're going to be able to Power Heater. So I kind of wish I kept that energy in the discard pile at this point, because now I'm only going to get one back. So we're going to go for the Power Heater here. To knock out the Mew, we're going to attach the energy here. And taking a prize card. And there's going to be a Skyfield, which is nice to see. So I should actually be able to... I'm not going to be quite able to get a knockout here. Unless I find myself... No, I don't think I'm going to be able to knock out this thing this turn. Which is okay, because they did Sycamore and not Lysander us. You're going to see an Ultra Ball coming down from my opponent. If I can find a way to get this thing out of the active this turn, which I don't think is possible, I would need an energy here and an energy here. I don't play any Max Elixirs or anything. So my opponent's going to grab the Yveltal EX, putting the Float Stone down onto that, and we're going to see a Pitch Black Spear. Probably going to see 60 come down onto a Shaman. They could also target down this Volcanion. Shaman's going to net them a quicker prizes. Volcanion's going to slow me down quite a bit. If they're able to knock out Volcanions as well, that's going to suck. And they are going to target the one with the energy on it. So I'm just going to steam up twice. Just to kind of get the full effects of this steam up. We're going to put down the Skyfield. I don't really want a Sycamore in this position either. I could take a Lysander here as well. Well, Lysander's only really going to promote this guy and allow me to kind of have a... I think we may as well just go for this. Target down this guy. He was going to need to commit a DC to retreat it. And I'm not hitting for a knockout anyway, so even putting enough damage on this is very good. And we are going to just Power Heater here for what should be 80 damage. And we're going to attach to the two Volcanion EXs just in case one of them gets Lysander. It's not going to be too big of a deal for us. So if my opponent isn't able to find a way out of the active spot here, I'm going to be able to knock out this one here. And then this thing will come up, and I should be able to retreat into this thing and knock that out before it's able to knock me out. If my opponent puts a DC and retreats, then it's a different story then. I don't think my opponent's actually played a supporter. I don't know if they Sycamored last turn. I don't think they've played a supporter in quite some time. So I think I'm in a better position here. They might not be able to get out of this Fright Night Yveltal, and it's going to be stuck. Of course, they can't Float Stone it unless they Float Stone Hex. Hex Maniac would really suck for me. Alright, so my opponent's going to Ultra Ball. I'm assuming they're probably going to take a Shaman EX here. Going to drop a VS Seeker and a Super Rod, so probably not actually. If they were going for... I don't think they'd go for a Shaman and discard a VS Seeker. They're going to take the Mew, which I'm okay with. Mew's a decent card here in this matchup because it can copy the attacks of these Pokemon. Not going to be able to Hex Maniac, and it is only a 1 prize attacker as well. Although it is knocked out through the means of a Power Heater and a Steam Up. So my opponent's going to go for a Trainer's Mail here, finding themselves another Ultra Ball. The scary thing for me is I'm going to be down 3 energy retrievals quite early on into the game. And we're going to see a Max Elixir from my opponent. It's going to be quite scary if they hit that, but they don't. So they put the Dark on the Yveltal, meaning that this thing's staying up in the active spot. We're going to grab ourselves another Volcanion. I don't really want to discard it. I don't particularly want it on the bench here, but we're going to have to. Alright, so now I'm going to put a Fighting... Oh, I did play another Shaman. I thought I only played 2 Shaman in here. Never mind. I think I'm going to just Fury Belt the active. Or do I want to not do that? I think we'll hang on to the Fury Belt. So I'm going to... I want to get 2 energies onto this thing this turn. So I'm going to Steam Up once. And that'll hit for the knockout. So 20... Yes, I'm hitting for 50 here. Going to attach here. And I'm going to be able to save that energy retrieval. So we're going to be able to Power Heater now for the knockout. And we're going to attach to this thing. So even if one of these guys gets Lysandered, I can attack with them now. So we're in a very good position at this point. We're going to find ourselves an N. And we do have a VS Seeker to net ourselves a Lysander here. So if my opponent decides not to go into this, we're going to be able to Lysander it up and retreat into one of our Volcanion EXs and knock it out. And then my opponent's really only left with those Yveltal EXs and the Mew. Unless they play something like Super Rod, they can get them these at Fright Night back. Or if they play a third Fright Night. My opponent's going to get rid of the Delinquent and the Shaman. And they're going to fail the Ultra Ball search here. Dunk onto the Yveltal and a Shaman setup to draw 5 cards. So I don't actually know if my opponent's really going to want to go into Fright Night this turn. I'm definitely going to want to knock it out. I think my opponent's probably digging a Lysander here. We're going to be able to get rid of a Shaman EX here, which is alright. I wish I had another Pokemon down so I could have got rid of the other Shaman, but anyway. So I'm thinking my opponent's probably not going to go for the Fright Night Yveltal here, just because they're not going to be able to hit it for a knockout, and I'm just going to return knockout them. My opponent's going to go for an N. Which does suck because they're getting rid of my VS Seeker, which was my access to the Lysander. And oh, we draw into a much worse hand. Alright, so my opponent is going to go into this Yveltal EX. Through the means of 1 fire energy, we can knock it out and take 2 prizes. And then I think we're going to be alright if we can do that. We're going to see a Max Elixir from my opponent, because then we're just a Lysander onto that Shaman away from winning. So that's what I'm going to have to go for. Unless I draw into a VS Seeker off the top, then I can Lysander up this thing and knock it out. Although maybe my best play is to just knock this thing out here. So I'm just going to promote this thing here just in case I miss. I've got the Float Stones and now they're active. So I'm going to... We do draw into a VS Seeker. It's a tough call, really. Do I just get rid of this Fright Night, or is it going to be a problem at all? Well, how many fire energies have I played? There's 2 in the discard, 5, 8 fire energies down, so I still have a lot of fire energies left. I think I'm just going to go for perhaps a double EX knockout here to win the game. I'm going to Float Stone these guys. And I'm just going to Sycamore here. I don't know. That play might come back to bite me. I am going to find the energy, though, to Steam Up for a knockout here. And I do have a VS Seeker in hand. So what I'm going to do is play my cards down now, just in case of a potential N from my opponent. I want to have as little cards in the deck as possible. So I'm going to Shaman set up to draw 4, which will take me down to 5 cards in the deck. I can put a Fury Bell down here. Actually, I think I might Fury Bell to Shaman. Lysander is going to really be my opponent's only hope here. So I can retreat into the Volcanion and just Volcanic Heat for the knockout. I do also have a Lysander in play, so if my opponent's not able to get rid of my cards, or if they're able to Lysander or something, then they're just going to really be delaying us a bit. They're going to promote the Yveltal EX, so I'm assuming they've probably got a way out of this now. Floats then onto the Yveltal EX. We've got 5 cards in deck, so maybe we're getting a bit going so far in, because if they do Lysander stall us, then they can probably win through that. They could also potentially set up the Mew with a Dark and a DC, which would be 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, which won't be enough to knock out the Volcanion. They're going to need a DCE and a Max Elixir on that Mew to knock us out. Now, I'm just hoping my opponent doesn't have access to a Lysander here. They've played 2 VS Seekers. Oh, there's a third VS Seeker for an N. So I'm okay with an N, just because it doesn't completely slow us down. If I do draw into a Lysander, I win anyway. I've got Lysander and VS Seeker access to me, and a Trainer's Mail. So hopefully I can draw into enough cards. We do find the Trainer's Mail here. If I can top deck the Lysander, we're going to be able to win this game. Alright, so it's really going to come down to what I can find from this Trainer's Mail here. If I find the Lysander, I can just retreat into the other Volcanion EX and Lysander up the Shaman and steam up with the Fire Energy for the knockout. So this game really just comes down to if I can find the cards or not. And my opponent's going to drop a Parallel City here, which is actually going to lower us by 20 damage. Okay, so that's actually quite annoying. So this thing's got 150 HP. I'll hit for 160. Okay, so okay, that's quite frustrating because now I'm going to need to find another Fire Energy as well. Well, I do have Energy Retrieval, 1 left in deck. Alright, so this is going to come down to what I can find off the top of my deck. And we're going to see the Yveltal here, which isn't quite a knockout. Oh, they got the Fury Bell, so it's 210. So we find ourselves a Volcanion EX, so I don't think we can do it this turn. We're going to go for a... No, I need the Fury Belt one. So what do I take here? Just a... You know what? We're going to do this. We're going to take an Energy Retrieval. Attached to the guy with the Floatstone. Maybe this isn't the best play. Energy Retrieval. Oh, we're actually not going to hit for a knockout. Oh, I misplayed that so much then. Oh, well. We're not going to knock out this Mew. Oh, I just misplayed so much then. And that's probably going to come back to bite me a lot. Alright, so we're just going to Power Heater here for not the knockout. Although now my opponent can't go into Fright Night, because if they go into Fright Night, they knock out the Mew. So there's one good thing. Of course, they can now just Fright Night, knock out this thing. If they get a Lysander, they can pretty much win the game within a couple of turns. So now I'm just kind of, once again, back into top deck mode. Got 8 cards left in deck, so I don't really want a Sycamore here. Alright, so things got a little bit tougher just due to that N. I needed to top deck and I drew into the Volcanion. Parallel City's down and the Fury Belt, so I wasn't going to be hitting for too much against this Mew. But now they're in a tough situation where they have to stick with this Mew. If they don't, then they can go into Yveltal, which is fine. I'm okay if they go into Yveltal, that thing's not powered up. I can just start to slowly chip away at that. Or they can go into Friday Night Yveltal. If they do that, they knock out their own Mew, and then I just have to deal with a Friday Night Yveltal. So I think I'm in a comfortable enough position here. And if they do go for the Yveltal play, I've got access to Fisherman. They're just going to hit me for 40 with a Sky Return. Okay, that was probably the best play my opponent could make, going into Friday Night. That was a very good play by my opponent. And they are going to knock out the Volcanion due to the Fury Bell not being active. We draw in ourselves into a Fire Energy here. I don't know if I really want to bench this thing just yet. Well, what's my play here? Just hang on to the Fire Energy and kind of hit for a surprise knockout, or do I just hit for 20 or hit for 30? Attach there. I could attach Retreat, bring into the Volcanion. That's probably not the best play to make. I think either way I'm going to need a top deck and energy from this. Or I could... My opponent's hand is too big for me to do anything really. I'm going to hang on to the energy. I'm going to power heater. We're going to put the energies just here and here. Alright, so if I top deck an energy, I'll win. Or if I top deck the Lysander, I'll... Oh no, I won't win because of that. I actually am going to need top deck quite a bit here. My opponent has so many cards in their hand as well. So I think this one's really going to come down to it. What I can draw, what my opponent can draw. I'd need 2 Steam Ups and a Lysander. You're going to see a Max Elixir from my opponent, which is going to fail. They're not knocking out this Volcanion in the active position, which is good. Although my opponent has so many cards in hand, I just have to think that they've got a way to find themselves a Lysander here. They haven't even played a Lysander. They've got 3 BS Seekers in the discard. I think I also have 3. Yeah. Okay, so this one's going to be quite a close game here. Parallel City being down does not help us at all. If Parallel City wasn't down, I think we'd be in a better position. Just because we'd be able to knock out that Shaman a couple turns ago. Alright, so my opponent deciding really what to do here. It is a tough situation for both of us. I'm just trying to top deck into something. If I can draw myself into a Fisherman, or through the means of a VS Seeker, I think I'd be in a good spot. They're going to play down the Mew. You're going to see a Fury Belt coming down onto the Mew. As well as the Dark Energy. Going to set up that Mew once again. So I know I've got 1 VS Seeker left in deck. I know I've got a Sycamore, an N, and a Lysander in there as well. Hoping I can draw anything that's not the Sycamore at this point, just because I would deck out. My opponent's just going to go for the Pitch Black Spear here. And it's probably going to go into the Shaman without the energy. Which is fine. Finding ourselves a Trainer's Mail here, this could be big. Okay. Alright, so there is a VS Seeker. Which can get us a Lysander. Which can get us a Fisherman. Or I can take this thing. Attach, retreat, knockout. So what do we got here? This would be 20, 80, 100, 120. I think they'd need too much energy to do that. So I'm tossing up now between Skyfield and Fisherman. I think Skyfield's probably going to be my best bet. Keep the VS Seeker for a potential. Then this guy's pretty much powered up. I just need one more energy on that thing. So I think I'm taking the Skyfield here. I'm going to knock out Fright Knight. Go down to 1 prize. And then it's just one of those Pokemon that I need to knock out. So we are going to do this. It's a bit of a risky play, but I think it's probably the best play I can make at this point. Now we have to attach to retreat. Let's see if we can't find a way to win this game next turn, hopefully. Volcanic Heat for 130. Going down to 1 prize, and we find ourselves a Fire Energy, which is a very good card to see here. So my opponent really choosing what Pokemon do they go into now. Yveltal EX is going to be their best bet here, just because if I do draw the VS Seeker for the Ranger, Yveltal is going to be the only thing that can survive, unless my opponent ends me. I'm still keeping this Volcanion EX in hand until I really need it. If my opponent stays with the Mute, I can just retreat into the baby Volcanion with 2 energies onto it, and get a knockout that way. So this is going to be quite a close game. Being up 2 prizes helps, though I do have a Shaman with 60 damage and a Volcanion with 100 damage on it, so it's going to be tough from here. Actually, looking back, I should have used the Power Heat onto the Shaman without the Fighting Fury Belt, so then I could have Sky Returned. I do have access to my Float Stone now as well, which is very good. Alright, so my opponent's hand, though, is incredibly big here, so they probably might have a way of getting out of this. How many energies have they played now? Because I've taken out 2 Fright Knight Yveltals, which are fully powered up. There's 4 Dark and a DCE in the discard. 1 in play. 5 Dark and 2 DCs have been played here. They're playing Max Elixir, so I'm assuming they probably play about 8 Dark Energies, maybe 7, between 7 and 9 Dark Energies, and probably 4 DCs. I think that would be a safe assumption. So my opponent just working out really what they can do from this point on. They definitely would have ways of winning this game. But it's going to be tough. I think they're really just going to have to bank on that Yveltal EX. And then if I'm able to knock that out, then it'll be game anyway. Of course, if I top deck Lysander next turn, it won't matter. If my opponent ends me down to 1, that could hurt. Although if I draw into the... No, I can't Sycamore. I would need to be very confident that I was going to win if I was going to Sycamore next turn. So this is really going to come down to it. I'm on 1 prize, my opponent's on 3. They do have access to knock out a Shaman and a Volcanion pretty easily. I believe they're all out of Fright Knight Yveltals at this point. This is game 2 of 3. They're going into the Yveltal EX, which is the best play to make here. So if I top deck the Lysander here, or the VS Seeker out of 5 cards, then I think I'll win. Oh, we don't even have access to a Sycamore. Oh, never mind, I discarded it. Okay, so I won't be drawing into Sycamore. I know I've got Lysander, VS Seeker in deck, and I think an N as well, which isn't too helpful. We're going to see an Evolball for 140 coming down. Let's see, do I draw a VS Seeker? I draw a Trainer's Mail, and I know I've got a Lysander and a VS Seeker in here, so we're going to take the Lysander. bring up this Mew, attach the energy, and then we can just retreat and Steam Artillery for the knockout. And there is game 2, and I'll bring it back for game 3. We draw the Fighting Fury Battle to the last prize, so I'll bring it back for game 3. So here we are for game 3. That last game took a whopping 28 minutes to complete. It was a very close game throughout the whole thing. Me taking the early lead really did help. My opponent has elected to go first, so if I win the coin flip, then I'll just have to say that I don't want to go first. You won the coin flip, okay. Would you like to go first? No. So my opponent's going first. And we're going to mulligan, thank God, because my hand was not very good there. I'm really hoping I can start with a baby Volcanion here. That would be so good if I could start with a baby Volcanion and not Volcanion EX for once. I do play 4 of each, so I have greatest chance of starting with either of them. I'm going to mulligan twice here, which does suck when my opponent's going first. And we're going to start Shaman EX active. Sweet. Best card I wanted to start with was Shaman EX. Our hand's not too bad though. Our hand, we can do a lot with it. Playing these Shamans though, when you're not going to be using Shaman, sucks. I don't play Ninja Boy or anything in here either. So this Shaman is pretty much down for the game unless I Sky Return. But I do have a couple of Trainers Mails, which is good. My opponent's going to retreat into Friday Night, attach the Dark, put down an Umbreon, and then Ninja Boy. I'm assuming they'll probably Ninja Boy away that Umbreon and get themselves something they wanted. Probably something like Yveltal EX, another Mew, another Fright Night. There's Yveltal EX. And passing turn. Alright, so I'm actually going to Trainer's Mail. Finding ourselves a Float Stone here. And Trainer's Mail once again. To find myself an Energy Retrieval. Yeah, okay, I guess. I'm going to Ultra Ball away 2 Fire Energies. Yeah, okay. 2 Fires. Oh, not that one. We want to take the Hooper. I'm going to grab the Hooper here. I'm going to grab ourselves 2 Volcanion EX. We'll grab the other ones. And a Shaman. I could actually go for Flareon here. Flareon isn't a card I've really prioritized in this matchup. It is a good card though, because 4 energies and I can knock out an Yveltal EX. So I'm going to Float Stone this guy. Volcanion. Volcanion. Fighting Fury Belt, Lysander the Mew, and then Shaman set up to draw 5. And if I can draw into a baby Volcanion, we'll knock out this Mew and take 1 prize. And there is not a baby Volcanion. Thanks for that, Pokemon. So I'm going to attach here. I don't love the idea of keeping a Shaman in the active spot, especially when my opponent can just retreat. Well, I do have access to another Lysander. I'm just going to retreat into this guy again and go for this play. And we're going to end turn. So my opponent only played a Ninja Boy last turn, so I don't know how good their hand is. I could be playing a little bit safer than what I am. I'm just trying to quickly go as soon as I can, so my opponent isn't able to set up multiple Fright Nights and start dealing damage to us very quickly. So we are going to see a DC coming down. My opponent actually doesn't look like they've got much going for him. So I might be able to take a couple of turns here. I'm draw into another Volcanion EX. I may as well bench it. I'm going to attach and I'm going to Lysander up this Yveltal EX. Because if my opponent's not able to find a Float Stone, then not only will I not lose a Shaman next turn, I'm going to be able to knock out this Yveltal EX because we do have Energy Retrieval to get 2. I can attach Steam up and then knock out this Yveltal as well as Sycamore. So if my opponent doesn't have a Float Stone, which they do find, so that does suck. But still my opponent doesn't really have much else going for him, so knocking out an Fright Night with their only energies. We're going to see a Lysander. Oh, onto the Volcanion EX. Oh, that really does hurt. Alright, so that does suck. They're going to knock out the Shaman here. Alright, so now I need to find myself a lot more cards than what I needed before. So we're going to find ourselves a Trainer's Mail here. For nothing. Going to Energy Retrieval. I may as well start attaching to this guy. I'm going to attach and then just Sycamore. Alright, so me starting no baby Volcanion so many times in a row has hurt me so much. We're going to get a Trainer's Mail here. I'm going to take an Ultra Ball, but I don't think I'm going to play it this turn. I think I'm just going to pass this Volcanion up. So I do really want to find myself a Floatstone next turn. I've played one Floatstone into a Shaman here. And there's a second Fright Knight coming up. This is going to be real tough for me to come back from this. Because my opponent's going to be able to set up... They actually go for the Shaman. They could have gone for this Volcanion and potentially double KO'd and won next turn. They're going to win next turn if I don't. Oh my god, this is such a bad situation for us. I actually can't physically see a way that I win next turn. Win this game. Lysander's on Volcanions. It's just suck. Because I'm going to need to somehow disrupt this to Yveltal set up. And the only way I can do it is if I'm able to get this guy out of the active spot. So I may as well just put the energy here, Ultra Ball. Find myself a Shaman. I'm just going to use all of our steam ups here. Shaman set up to draw 4 cards. We find ourselves the cards to get out here and take at least 2 prizes, but I think that's going to be the game anyway. Going to retreat and Volcanic Heat for a knockout. If my opponent's got a Lysander, they win. If they don't have a Lysander, they still win. I don't think there's a way I can physically win this game. You're going to see the VS Seeker. And that is going to be game 3. So neither of those games did I start with a baby Volcanion, which is not what you want with this deck. So that's going to be the game there. Game 3 was not very entertaining. So I lose round 1. I actually really don't know how this tournament works fully. So I think I don't know if it's elimination or not. So it might be. That could have been the only video I do on this. I don't know yet. I'll find out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. So I've read over the rules, and I don't believe it's elimination. So I think we're going to be doing a couple more videos on this. That was just round 1 of this tournament. I don't know how many rounds there are. I know there's a top cut. Congratulations to Dominic Bugatti. I really hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Thanks for playing me, and thank you guys for watching. If you liked, be sure to subscribe to Pokestraya. And stay tuned for more of these videos. Hopefully we can play a couple more rounds. As I said, it might take a little bit to get out because players have 4 days to complete their games. And once the games are completed within those 4 days, then there's another 4-day wait and another 4-day wait. So it's going to be quite a while before this whole series is wrapped up. I don't know how many rounds it is. If it's something like 6 rounds maybe. I think there was quite a few players, so it might even be something like 7 or 8 rounds. If that's the case, then this is going to be quite a drawn-out series. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.